Some of our most successful friends have launched over 20 times before they get something. One of our friends launched a webinar over 90 times, tweaking it. So I would happily do a webinar 90 times.
91 times.
91 times to make $5.
But most people aren't willing to do that.
No, they're not.
And we're back
with another episode of He Said, She Said.
All right, babe. Glōci is a freaking hit. I'm so proud of you. Give them one reason they should order Glōci right now.
Okay, so one of the reasons that we chose the probiotic that we chose, which is one of our hero ingredients, we have a probiotic, we have hyaluronic acid, we have magnesium, we have zinc, we have prickly pear, we have coconut water powder, and we have sea salt and vitamin C. And I'm going to talk about the probiotic for a second because we chose this particular probiotic because it has 30 clinical studies on it. In fact, they're doing more and more studies on it all of the time. So today's reason is because DE111, which is the probiotic that we went with, provides benefits for body fat percentage and athletic performance. So research.
Sign me up.
Seriously, I'm obsessed. This is why we're drinking like 2-3 packs a day.
And
right
I've
now.
been drinking every night before I go to bed. Remember, I wake up, I'm like, babe, I'm leaner, I swear. Maybe it really is.
I mean, truly. So we're starting to collect before and afters of your face and skin, but
My face and skin or other people's face and skin?
Everybody's. But seriously, when we went into this, it was skin and gut. And so it is our main components. All ingredients are really about skin and gut. And we know that when you improve your gut health, that everything improves: digestion, immunity, body composition, body fat percentage. So I'm really excited about the research that's being done on this right now and what they're finding. So you guys, it's not just glowing skin. I mean, seriously, there's so many benefits. And the reason that we chose about the gut was because when we surveyed those 5,000 women, most of the answers that they wanted were that they wanted to feel lighter. And so we had to break down, what does lighter mean? And lighter for them meant that they felt bloated. They felt heavy. They didn't feel comfortable in their bodies. It felt like they weren't digesting their food. And so I know that this is why we're getting so many amazing reviews. We just got a review that was like, my tummy already feels flatter on week 2. It's because you're digesting your food like you should.
Because of the probiotic that you chose.
Yes.
That is freaking, okay. So I know you got a discount for them. How do they get a discount?
You just have to use the code HAPPY when you check out for 15% off. So go grab it, you guys, and literally start your 60 and 90 day journey. I mean, we're never getting off of it, but go check out what you can do in 60 days.
At getglōci.com?
At getglōci.com.
15% off with what?
Code HAPPY.
All right. So let's talk about expectations. You've got really high expectations for this company. I've got really high expectations for my company. Mm-hmm. And then we always have high expectations for our personal brand. Yeah. When we launch anything like the dinner series or the mastermind or any events that we do, et cetera.
Yep.
And all of our clients, because we seem to attract these high performing individuals, they have really high expectations too. Except not all of us hit our expectations that we make up out of thin air all the time.
In fact, majority don't hit
and that's the
arbitrary number that we have chosen.
I want you to drive that home because so many people beat themselves up. I literally got a text message today from an elite mastermind member. They just had a record launch. They just grew in every single area. Total money sold, total programs sold, total conversion, they crushed it. Mm-hmm. But they're also beating themselves up because they didn't hit the arbitrary goal that they literally made up, which, by the way, was more than twice their last launch. They just made up this goal, all right, we got a couple things tweaked. We're going to double our sales.
Right.
And I do that all the time too. I am the king of optimism, but that means I set these optimistic goals. And then instead of celebrating that we did way better than the last time, I'm always angry that we didn't hit the arbitrary goal that I made up.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that happen when we do this. Number one, when you are setting a goal, you do have to kind of just pick a goal. And you don't know what's realistic or not if you haven't necessarily been in that industry. And then what we do to try to set a realistic goal is we look at the top performers in that particular category. And we're like, okay, if they did, I'm just going to use whatever numbers. If they did $1 million in this launch, then maybe I can do 250K. Okay, well, great. That would be awesome if we could do that. But what we have to look at is the data and the numbers. And have you done the things that they had done and put in place, and how many years did it take them to get to that number. So like you said, when your client said they just wanted to double what they did, but they did a couple different tweaks. In order to double your revenue, it's probably not just a couple tweaks. There's probably a lot of things that go into that, a lot more things. And I want to use this as an example. A little while ago, we did a launch and we set an arbitrary number. And while we did a good launch, we missed the mark on what we wanted. And so instead of getting really upset, because that's the first emotion that we all experience, instead of getting upset, I went and I found data and the real story on a particular launch that I was comparing myself to. And I looked at this person's launch and I'm like, well, they did 8 more webinars than us. Okay, well, they sent out way more emails. They started 2 months earlier. They did this with their text list. They did all of these things that we did not do. And so that should actually make you feel really empowered to know that everyone's setting an arbitrary number and you have to work backwards from there.
You have to measure your expected results to the actual number of improved actions taken. This goes for no matter what you're selling. And it always boils down to examine the data, working backwards. What do I mean by that? Working backwards from the sale, the first thing you'd look at is your conversion percentage. Did you do better in your conversion percentage this time than you did last time? If yes, then work backwards from there. Did you get as many site visits, right? Because someone who visits your site to make a buying choice or not, the percentage of them that actually buy is your conversion. So did you get as many site visits as last time? Did it improve or not? If it did, then go backwards from there. How many opens did you get? Whether you're sending emails, whether you're sending texts, right? How many actual opens did you get to drive people to the site? If that's not broken, then work backwards from there. If all those are like, hey, we improved there, and you still didn't hit your numbers, then it must be top of funnel. How many eyeballs got to see your offer, got to see your email, got to see your text, and make a decision of, do I want to explore this further? And do I end up converted or not? So you got to work backwards and see if the data in each area improved, not just beat yourself up. And by the way, this is what makes you feel better when you miss a mark, when you miss an arbitrary goal. If you can look at the data and you got better in the bulk majority of those categories, then you should celebrate the growth, not be angry at the made up sales that you think you're missing out on.
Yeah, this is why it takes years to do, is because you have to launch and get data and then try again. And like you said, if something's not working, it's probably that you didn't have enough eyeballs, but there's also other factors too. Like maybe your message is off. Maybe your message needs to get more dialed in on your sales page. Maybe you're talking to the wrong person. So with each launch, sometimes you go and you tweak your messaging and you try that again, and you have to find all of these different things that work. So what we're trying to say is to not get frustrated based off of a single launch, or even 2 launches, or even 3 launches. I mean, some of our most successful friends have launched over 20 times before they get something. One of our friends launched a webinar over 90 times, tweaking it in order to finally make $1 million off of her webinar.
5 million.
5 million. Excuse me, 5 million. So I would happily do a webinar 90 times.
91 times.
91 times to make $5
But most people aren't willing to do that.
No, they're not.
They give up after 1 time, commonly, maybe after 2 times.
Yep.
Hey y'all, if you didn't know, Earn Your Happy is now a part of the Growth Day Podcast Network. This is so exciting to me because I have been looking for a really good home for the show for, I can't even tell you, years, literally. And now I've finally been able to come together and collaborate with other people who have incredible shows, and I want to share them with you. One of the shows is Motivation with Brendon Burchard. And you guys, if you don't know about the beginning of my career, I literally started with Brendon Burchard's work. It's how I launched one of my very first online courses and membership sites, was because he gives so much advice that you can can integrate and implement immediately. And that's what you're going to get on the show. Not just motivation, but you're going to learn exactly how to get your stuff out in the world. And not just that, but Brennan runs in the most incredible group of humans who are really doing the thing out in the world that you want to be doing. So go check it out. Go subscribe to Motivation with Brennan Bouchard. I promise you, this is going to be one of those shows that no matter when you tune in, you're going to get value. Like, it's not one of those that you're like, God, I listened for 30 minutes and I didn't get what I wanted. Like, from the beginning, you're going to get something that changes your life or changes your business. So go check it out. Motivation with Brennan Bouchard. I know you're going to love it. I'm obsessed.
Guys, you got to be in this stuff for the long game. I don't care what you're selling. If you're selling widgets, if you're selling supplements, if you're selling courses, if you're selling cars, I don't care what you're selling. You need to be in the long game, and you need to be in the improvement game, and you need to be in the examining data game. And if you are not in all three of those games, then I don't want to hear you complain.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing the work it takes to be as successful as the person who you're trying to emulate, as the person who you're modeling. You got to be in all three of those games, right? You have to be in the long game in terms of your sales. You have to be in the examination of data game. You have to be in the constant quest for improvement game, or you're not going to, I don't care what you pivot to. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to pivot to selling these now. Oh, that didn't work. I'm going to pivot to selling these now. It's never going to work if you don't learn to love the fundamentals.
Yeah. And I think that is what excites me, is knowing that there's so many levers to pull. And what's interesting about going into a product is that instead of, 2 to 10 launches a year, whoever, depending upon who you are, it's now like a launch every single day. And so there are so many levers to pull every single day. And when I ask different people in the product space, and when I'm really learning what the product space is about, it's not that there is like one thing or even 5 things or even 10 things that makes a product successful. It is that they have 500 irons in the fire at once, meaning they have an affiliate program, they have an ambassador program, they have wholesale, they have ads running on all of these different shows, they have ads on Facebook, they have their TikTok up, they've got in-person events, they've got small events, they're at small masterminds, they're at big events, they're handing out samples in stores. Like, it is all of the things. So when you look at your business from that perspective, do you just have a couple things, or are you trying, through the years? This doesn't all happen at once. Just like everything that I named is not happening at once for my company. Yep. We only have so much team, and we can only activate so many channels at once. Trust me, I am overwhelmed. Like, I feel like I want to be in all places at all times, but that's not how it works in the beginning. You have to slowly build this up. And so people want success overnight because I feel like they hear about that, but we're in the industry and I don't really ever hear that. Like, even the ones that are overnight, if you dig deep enough,
it's been years in the
they
making.
had something set up that they've been setting up for years, meaning like they had an email list that they'd been setting up for years, or they had an audience that was really primed for what they pivoted into. But I have not heard of any overnight success.
You can hear this message that you got to play the long game and that you have to learn all these things, and you can be upset and say, screw it, I'm never going to be successful. And you can also hear it and be like frustrated, like, well, I don't have that long. Or you can look at it and say, tomorrow's going to come anyways. I might as well start learning today. Next month is going to come anyways. I might as well start learning today. Next year will be here anyways. I'm going to wish I started playing the long game and learning these things today.
And when you're in it, it doesn't feel like you're making progress, does it?
Nope. Feels like quicksand.
That's why you have to go back. That's why every single year we go back and look at all of the progress that we've made. We do this on New Year's Eve, typically, or New Year's Day, whatever it falls on. And we also try to look at our wins every single evening. That's why we do
3 wins every evening.
And then we also try to talk about it monthly. Like, oh my God, this problem that I was trying to solve this month, I now have the solution. Because when you are in it, you literally don't feel like you're moving forward at all.
Yep. You guys got to remember to celebrate the finish lines that you once set. that you have now moved on yourself. I think that's where the frustration sets in. You'll set a finish line, and then you'll move that finish line way further than where you first set it. And then you unceremoniously cross the past finish line, and you don't celebrate it because you've moved it since then. And then you wonder why you're not making progress, but you are. And that's why it feels like you're going nowhere. Anyhow, if you're frustrated by missing the mark, know that you're not alone. Every one of our friends misses the mark, but then they do the work to hit a realistic mark. We miss the mark, but then we do the work to hit a realistic mark. And you, even if you just missed the mark, you can start doing the work today in order to hit a realistic mark worth celebrating. Thanks for listening, guys. Love and appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey y'all, I'm so excited to share with you, Earn Your Happy is now part of Growth Day Podcast Network. A bunch of us are coming together to bring more growth to the world and support shows and brands that we truly believe in. And one of my friends is also on the network, and I'd love for you to go subscribe to his show. You guys, Trent Shelton has the most incredible podcast. It's called Straight Up with Trent Shelton, and it's going to remind you that you are built for this. I have heard Trent speak in person multiple times. I've listened to his podcast a ton. He's coming on the show, and I literally cannot wait because this man just spits straight fire. It is like truth that goes to your core and makes you take action right away. If you want one of those podcasts that when you're just out on a walk, you can't help but want to start running and run through a wall in your life, this is the show to go listen to. So you guys, make sure that you go subscribe to the show, Straight Up with Trent Shelton. You're going to love it. Hey, do you know what the big secret is this year? And it shouldn't be a secret because this should be your biggest focus. It is building your community. I am always working on building and nurturing my community, and everyone is talking about the power of community. Without an online community, you just cannot grow organically or create a real movement, which is what I know that we're all after. And you can build trust or monetize your audience. When you get community right, not only does your audience grow faster, but so do your sales. But where's everybody going to be managing their communities these days? And a lot of online entrepreneurs and thought leaders are turning to Circle.so. Circle is an all-in-one community platform. It lets you host content and create discussions, live streams, group chats, and memberships all under your own brand. And what's so cool about Circle.so is that you don't even need a website or Facebook group. Instead, Circle lets you build your own community site where you can host content and manage your members. You can even create locked and unlocked content spaces, groups, and classes. How freaking cool is that? You can put your content behind a paywall too, and you can charge different amounts of money for different spaces on your community site. Circle.so is famously easy to use, and it has a free 14-day trial for you, so you can go check it out, see if you like it, see if you love all the options. Just go to Circle.so. Go check it out right now, you guys. Imagine being able to manage your community, start group chats and live classes, and accept payments all in one place. Kind of mind-blowing since this is usually spread all over the place. You have to log into so many different things. If this is the year to capture, organize, and monetize your community, head over to Circle.so. You can get a free trial and start building your online community right now. Just go to Circle.so. You guys, you get the 14-day free trial. So just go and see if it's for you. It's going to streamline everything and make your life so much easier. It's so freaking cool.